Hello, creative friends. This is Joy. So, I decided to do another page in my Dinah Wakely Media Journal, and I was going to just scrape paint on this page, but I decided I wanted to use a stencil or some kind of shape, so I pulled out this circle stencil and I tried to use the card to scrape through the stencil, but that wasn't working so well. So I got this stencil brush and decided that that worked much better. So I decided to go with just some orange and blue craft paint. I don't know why, just for some reason this day, those were the two colors that kind of appealed to me. And I started covering this canvas page. This is one of the canvas pages in this journal with these dots. And as you will see, I kind of get carried away with this. I end up covering, what I intended to just be some random light um, circles in the for a background, ended up just turning into this completely covered background with all these circles. And then it ended up being like brighter than I kind of wanted it to be. But, you know, I just went with it. I mean, I probably could have tried to tone it down a little bit with some white paint or whatever, but I was really liking the brightness of the colors on this canvas background. So, yeah, I went with it. So I decided I wanted to put a border, so I got out my ink pad and this stamp that I made, and that didn't seem to work. And so then I thought, well, let me try some black paint. So I'll paint some black paint on this stamp and stamp that on there. That should work, right? I mean, this being canvas, it's a little bit hard to work with, but there's ways around it. So stamp, nothing happened. So I thought, well, let me get out a stencil. We will try to stencil through with the black paint and see how that works. So I got a stencil and a brush and decided I was going to put a border on this page with that, and that seemed to work. And I was doing okay lining this up and working down the side, and when I got to the bottom, I don't know, I guess I wasn't paying much attention because I got it kind of off. But anyway, I decided that that was covering a lot of my page, and if I put it, my intent was to put it all the way around, but if I did that, then there wasn't going to be much left to put my images. So rather than put it all the way around, I decided just to leave it on the one side and then use the black paint just to kind of put dashes around the other edges, just to kind of make a border around this page. So that's what I decided to do, to put a border on this page. And, the dashes weren't coming out as clean and as I would like, but oh well, because again, on canvas it's kind of hard to work. And then I decided to try to get those two to match up on that side, even though at the bottom it's a little off, but that helped make it a little less obvious. And then I got a white Posca pen and decided to draw around some of the circles. So that's what I'm doing here with the white Posca pen, just kind of going around some of the circles, which kind of helped a little bit, and give it a little bit of a different contrast to this page, and a little bit more interest. So I did that on some of the circles. And then I decided, I was thinking, well, what am I going to put on the page? I don't know what my focal point is going to be. So I grabbed my die cuts and went through to try to decide what I wanted to put on this page. So there's lots of options here, and two of them in particular kind of jumped out at me. This one, and then this other one. So I like either one of these options to put on this page, and decided to go with the one. Um, I don't know why I decided on this one, but that's just the one that felt right to me. So I decided to put that one on, and I was just deciding whether I wanted to put like a bird or a flower or something else on this page with this girl. And I did decide on one of the flowers that I thought would go with this girl to put on this page. And then I decided, well, I need a quote. I always like to put a quote on the page, so I go through some quotes I had sitting on my desk and looking at them to see, well, which one, seems, like it would go with this page and be the right quote for the page. So I choose one of the quotes for this page. And the quote says, "The healthiest response to life is joy," by Chipat Chopra. I think I'm not sure how to say that. Anyway, so then I decide, well, it's, this magazine page that it's on is very thin, and I'm not going to be able to adhere it to the canvas. I need to put it on something sturdier. So I go through my tags, and I just try to decide on, if any of them are going to work, where I can stick this on one of the tags. And so I have this one piece of a tag that was cut off. I kind of like that on there. Then I found this other, it's not really a tag, it's something else. So I put that on there, and then I decided to put one of these tickets on there with the tag to do like a layered effect with these items. And then that way I can adhere the tag on top of that. So I'm just looking through just to make sure, that this is what I want to do to this, to put on this page. And I'm really liking the way it looks. And so I decide that's what I'm going to go with. But again, being a little bit indecisive and decide just to go with it. The best thing, and the thing I try to remind myself time and time again is just go with your first instincts. First thing, just go with it. So here I'm decided to color these images, and this is my Arteza watercolor markers or pens. So what I try to do is whatever color I use in one image, I try to also use it for the other image, so that way they at least, look like they go together. So here I'm coloring the flower with some red, as you can see, and then I also put some of that in the girl, so I color her little bow red and some little dots on her hat in red. So that way that they kind of, look like they go together. And then I do the same with the rest of this. And I speed this up because, you're not going to want to sit and watch me just color through all this. But I do the same with all the other colors that I decide to use on these images. I just end up, whatever I use in one, I also use in the other. So I quickly go through and finish coloring the images. And this set doesn't really have a good skin tone, but there's this kind of orangey, this tan color that seems to be the best option for skin tones. I wish they had a better option, but that one works, I guess. So then once I get my images colored, then I decided to adhere them to the page. And I also want to mention that I did put a piece of wax paper behind this page before I started, because the paint does go through the canvas, and so does the glue. So to avoid getting paint on the next page, I made sure that I put something underneath the page. some wax paper. And so I'm just using some Aleene's tacky glue to glue down all of these pieces, because all these pieces are pretty heavy duty, you know, paper, cardstock, except for the quote, because again, the quote's on very thin paper. So I just use a glue stick for that, because if I was to use the Aleene's tacky glue, then the quote would end up buckling and wrinkling, and that would not be good. So I make sure everything is adhered down, and then I realize that I forgot to do her hands. So I pull out the same pen and do her hands really quick. And then I also decide to do a few more circles with the white Posca pen around her, and to hopefully help her stand out a little bit better. But that's pretty much the page for today. I thank you for stopping by and watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.